to Wisdom from North. I'm Jannike, and today I'm here with Raana Zia. Hello, Raana. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm good.
I'm wonderful, and I've just read your book, Your Hidden Light, and it's a beautiful book. It's about creation, how we create, actually, how we are the creators together in a way with the source, and that we are much more powerful than we maybe sometimes think that we are. But
Yeah.
this creation process is something that we're not brought up to learn. We have not been taught this, how to actually create in the way you writing in the book. And many people speak about this now. So I find it interesting to find more and more perspectives on it so we can understand more of it, because it's so important, right? We want to, or often I feel like I want to create my desires, and I want to know how to do it so it doesn't just happen
hmm
randomly, because that's how it feels like sometimes, that life is just random, but I believe it's not. But what is so interesting with you is that you spent your career holding executive level leadership roles in large Fortune 500 retail companies. And then you advanced, and now you have switched career. You are a self-help author. It's like two
Yeah.
completely different things. And I've also read that you said that you were a bit afraid of going into spirituality because you were afraid that you were letting go of material things, which was important to
hmm
you. So I want to dive into that, what happened. But first, tell us a little bit about that title, Your Hidden Light. What,
Yeah.
yeah, what do you put, what does that mean for you, that we have a hidden light?
Yeah. No, it's funny because the title came after the book was written. And I actually had a different title. And it was literally, I'll be honest with you, I was working with a personal coach at the time, and she knew that my last name, Zia, Z-I-A, meant light, actually, in Arabic. And I didn't even realize that until really recently. And I had mentioned that to her once. And she had actually said, okay, there's something about light, that you should be putting in your title. And I went back and I started to think about that and say, it's true. It's like, how does this book really connect to me? And so Your Hidden Light is really sums up what the whole book is about. It's that we have this light within us, and it's been hidden. For me, it's been hidden. I didn't realize that it was there, and the enormity of what that light really is. It's our true selves. It's our most powerful self. It's the part of us that is connected to everything. So really, Your Hidden Light is just that. It's our power. It's our soul. It's our spiritual energy, and it's the power within us that allows us to create what we desire.
Right. And it seems like you have an experience of this. From what I understand, you had a very quick shift, I heard, in
Yeah.
an interview that you did, that it happened almost in a year. Although, of course, you probably started the journey a bit before, but when it first started, it went very quick. But can you tell us a little bit about coming from that world, financial world,
Yeah.
advancing and getting all these great positions, and then all of a sudden going to seek something else? Like, why this shift in a career?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's really funny because in 2012, that's when everything shifted for me in terms of me really starting to want to understand what my path really was. So in 2012, I got the job that I really wanted. It was in the location I really wanted to move to. It was exactly everything I wanted. And what felt so unbelievable to me is that it was happening so soon. I knew that eventually in my career I was in finance, and that to be at the top of my career in finance, it would be to be a chief financial officer. And I knew that eventually that made sense that I would reach for that goal. I was also living in California at the time, and all my family was on the East Coast in the Boston, New York area. And we had two young children. And I also knew that I eventually wanted to be close to my family back home. So when this opportunity showed up, it felt like it was out of nowhere. I couldn't believe it because it was the perfect opportunity. And from a career standpoint, it was a double promotion. So I was literally not taking the normal path, and this was being presented to me. So when this happened, I was extremely grateful, but there was something telling me inside that this was really the universe showing me my power, in the sense that I knew that there was something that I did with my thoughts, my feelings, my beliefs that had lined up in a way that I was not carrying any worry, any stress, and that there was something that I did. I knew I had manifested it. So when this opportunity came, I did accept the offer. It completely shifted my life. We moved to the East Coast, but there was something inside of me that was saying, okay, if I can create this in my life, could I create something that truly made me happy and that could potentially look very different from a career standpoint than what I had been doing for the last 20 years? And I was determined to find out. So starting in 2012, while I was, working in this new job, I was spending all my free time reading books, going on retreats, going to seminars, really trying to look for what was my purpose and what was I supposed to do, that would really fulfill me. So that really became my journey. And while it seemed like it happened overnight, I was on this search for 4 years. 4 years? Actually, maybe not. Maybe I started in 2012. Yeah, 4 years, about 4 years. And slowly, I was like, I don't know. What year is it? I don't even know now. But slowly, I started, when you follow your heart, it opens you up to things that are quite unexpected. And writing a book was the furthest thing from my mind. I had been in finance all my career. Actually, in school, I didn't think I was very good at writing, and so I just focused on math. So when I started to feel this creative urge that I needed to write, it felt very, very foreign. And but I was feeling that I was learning so much information that was life changing, right? It's like when you go on this type of a journey, you're presented with information that feels very true and feels very real. And I was presented with all this information, but it was everywhere. And my math mind wanted it all in one place, right? I just wanted it all in one place. So I started to get this desire to write, to synthesize. And while this seemed like not the expected path, it felt real to me.
It's very many interesting things that you're mentioning here. Like it doesn't seem like the right path. Yeah, I think several of us have experienced that we're like, it's not supposed to go like that. It's supposed to go like that. But life always surprises us, right? There is no right way. There is no right path. That's what I believe. So it's just opening up to however source or the universe wants you to get a certain thing or integrate something. And also I feel like I've been on this path for I don't know 20-30 years or so. I've been so curious and always been focusing on self-development, I think, my whole life. But for you it wasn't the case. But I think it has something to do with the times we're living in now. Not everything is happening so fast. And I think there was someone I was talking to, a teacher, who said that, us teachers who are like 50, 60 years old, who have been working with this for a long time, we have kind of helped the energy to get to a certain place. So when the others come along, it will be a quicker ride for them.
I agree.
That makes sense in a way, because they've been doing investigations with mouses and animals. When one animal starts to do one thing, or they see one animal sees, for instance, if a mice or mouse knows that it's danger somewhere, and the other mice won't go there as well, because they know it's danger there. And then they exchange one mouse. And still they don't go to the dangerous place. And after a while, all the mice have been exchanged, and they still don't move over to that place which is dangerous. This was a bit difficult for me to explain in English, but I think you got the point of it. That the mice's consciousness knows that they shouldn't go there where it's dangerous.
Right. Right.
So we are all linked. So when the collective consciousness is rising, then it helps others too, who's opening up to the path. So that's
Yeah.
my theory at the moment.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great theory. I mean, look, there's so much about this world that we don't really understand, and you're right. There's more and more people really waking it up to who they are and how they fit in their world. And I do agree that there is an acceleration happening right now. And for me, if I think about my path and my career, right, everything has a purpose. Everything is linked. And I was somebody just, given my life where I just needed to know the most efficient and effective way to get things done, right? At work, right? Being in finance.
Right.
And like, working with people, it's like, give me the answer right now. Like, we don't have time, right? We give me the answer right now. And so I feel even just in writing this book, this is the message that I needed to receive in the way I needed to receive it. Because there's an acceleration, it's almost like, how can I digest this information really quickly and start implementing it immediately? And for those people who are like myself, in the world that I came from, it's relaying that message in a way that it's not gonna hopefully take people as long as it took me to really get this, because this is now the time, right, that we need to accelerate. And what's so exciting is that it's going to accelerate faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, I
That's just
believe
what
so
that's what
too.
I believe.
Yeah, no, it's so funny that your path kind of or awakening reflected your energy the way you are.
Yeah.
And I noticed in your book you're very certain about things. Even I am not that certain, who has been, looking into these things for such a long time. But it seems like you've had the verification a lot that you do create your own reality. I kind of know that intellectually, but I don't feel that I know that 100%. It's still like
Yeah.
a theory for me. So, but I'm investigating it and exploring it. But tell us a little bit about how the creation process, the way you see it, because I understand you have a 4-step creation
Yeah.
process. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to simplify it, just to make it clear, that it's the same process you can use on anything, and I simplify it down to a 4-step process. Now, the first step is actually like one of the biggest steps, because it is creating an intention, a desire, right? What do you desire? What do you intend? What's your goal? What's your vision? And it's essentially saying, what is it that I want? And sometimes it's very hard to get very clear on what you want. So there's work in saying, okay, what do I really want? And sometimes that takes a lot of time, right? It took me quite a bit of time to say, if I'm not going to do this finance, what is it that I really want to do? So sometimes it's easy, sometimes it takes time, but it's very important that you get very clear on what you want, and also that you believe that it's possible, right? Many people talk about this, and you know this as well, right? That without the belief, it's just a daydream. But to actually manifest it, you have to believe it. And again, this is another part, if you're trying to create something new for yourself, creating the belief is really where all the work is. And for me to write a book, honestly, when I knew I had to write it, I did not believe I could do it. I was like, what? I'm not a writer. But I knew I had to build a belief in order to write it. And I spent 18 months building the belief, right? Building up a belief that I could do it.
Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think people might be interested in learning more how they can really believe. So let's say that you have a dream you want to pursue, or even like a love relationship. You want a beautiful love relationship. That is something you can't force. You can't go down the street and say, hey, be together with me. You are the love of my life. So It's kind of out of your control in a way. It's this mysterious thing. But you want a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a child even. You want a child. You can't control that either. That's, just happens if you know what I mean. So how can we believe if we don't have the past experiences that are in a way supporting that belief?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I'm not going to lie, like, that's where the work is, you know. And I talk about in my book, all the work in anything is all internal work. And that can feel hard sometimes. And once you're internally lined up, anything you do externally won't feel like work because you'll feel in the flow. So for the book, because that's, you know, my experience and that's pretty recent, I did not have a belief, right? I believed in my entire life I was not good at like English and writing and those subjects, and I was stronger in math. I built a 20 plus year career on math and analytics, right? And so I didn't really, writing a book was not something that I had any belief I could do. So what you need to do is, well, first and foremost, your desire has to be so much stronger than any sort of fear or doubt that you may have. And because if that desire is very strong, then you're going to be self-initiated, right, into figuring out how can I achieve this and how can I create a belief. So for me, I worked with a personal coach to help build my confidence. I started journaling, and I started writing leadership blogs for my company, which felt so what would I say, uncomfortable. It was pushing me out of my comfort zone. So I was doing things, I was practicing things to get into the feeling of I'm a writer.
So you
right?
actually did some action. You took some action. It's
I
not
took
just
some
in your
action.
head in a way. It's action too.
Yeah, because you have to be able to feel it in your body, right? To feel it in your body. Like some people talk about, okay, you know, I want a new car, and do I just sit there and believe that it's true? How do I believe that? It's a simple one, right? And you know, and some people say, okay, I go to the car dealership and I sit in the car and I feel what it feels like, so I can remember the feeling and I carry that feeling with me. So sometimes you do need to take action, right? If it's something that's very foreign. And that could be with anything, you know, but the key is to really believe it in your heart and feel it in your body. Feel it in your body. And there's so many different strategies. You know, you got to find the way that connects with you. So, you know, I encourage people to just listen to many people, you know, see what they're doing, read different books, because you're going to find the strategy that makes sense. Because my strategy may not make sense to everybody, but it'll connect with some people. So for me, yes, I did need to take some sort of action to get myself out of this place of doubt, right, and fear. You know, you got to believe in yourself, and you got to do what you can to believe it. Because no matter what, right, no matter what it is, whether it's a relationship, I had that in my 20s. You know, I really, 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 really wanted to find my partner, my husband. That's all that I cared about. But what I needed to do was to believe it, to feel good. And anytime that somebody found their husband, I had to remind myself, do not be jealous, be happy. Be happy. Because once you put any sort of negative emotion, that resists what's coming to you. So that's just another strategy, right? Like to hold on to your belief. If you see other people have what you want, feel good. Because once you feel good, you attract it. You start to attract it. And you know, and a lot of times we feel the opposite. We feel like, you know?
That's the thing. It's like, oh, you know, sadness. I remember a friend of mine said that she had a doctor who so wanted a child, and my friend, you know, she was pregnant, and she noticed that that doctor was like really vulnerable about it because she wanted a child as well, and it just made such an impression on me. I felt for the doctor who wanted to be professional, but still she privately, you know, wanted a child, and it's so easy to then feel a little bit down about it because you wish you were there. And I think that's so human. So it seems like counterintuitive, actually.
You said it perfectly, right? That's what I've been discovering. It's like everything is counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive because we've been conditioned to believe a certain way. So it feels like it's the opposite. So, you know, the best way is to just the next time somebody's in that situation is just try it the opposite way. Because you're only going to believe it. Like for me, I wrote the book because I truly, truly believed everything that I was saying. And the only reason I believed what I was saying was because I experienced these things in my own life. And while I was experiencing my ability to create, it just made me want to do it over and over and over again, right? But it is a discipline. It is a practice because, like you said, it's counterintuitive. So it goes against the way we've been conditioned. So we have to be so much more self-aware, so much more disciplined in how we think, what we say, right? How we act. And so I do emphasize it is a practice. It really is a practice until it becomes a natural way of being.
Yeah, you're actually noticing, not saying that in the book too about the thinking, which I found very interesting. You talk about incorrect thinking and correct thinking, and I think you're saying that incorrect thinking is unconscious thinking.
Yeah, it's really mainly the negative thoughts that come up. And most of the time, all those negative thoughts are unconscious thoughts, right? So if you stop to just become aware of thoughts that flow in your head, I talk about I would drive to work every day on my commute, 20 minutes, and I would try not to think of anything but driving, not to let thoughts enter my head, right? A form of meditation. And I would notice if a thought flew into my head, and I would look at that thought, and it was always a thought that was random, but didn't make me feel good. Made me start to take my attention away and analyze something that really wasn't serving me in the moment or even made me feel good. And so I became really aware that I have all these thoughts that just come in and attack me and make me worry and really have nothing to do with what I'm doing in the moment and make me feel uncomfortable. So I really started to feel good when I would be able to stop that, right? Manage it more often.
You managed to stop that?
It's funny because people say, and I write in the book, stop thinking, right? And that's so
right. Easier said than done.
It's so hard. It's you get better once you become aware of your thoughts, and once you experience that your thoughts your positive thoughts create positive things, and your negative thoughts create negative things. I experienced that my negative thoughts create negative things. And I had to have those experiences because that made me realize, like, okay, I have to be very aware of what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, because saying is just verbalizing your thoughts, right? What I'm feeling, because feelings are your physical manifestation of your thoughts. Made me so much more self-aware. Now, are you going to be able to completely stop thinking and focus them always on what you want? No, because we're human. But you're gonna get better at it, and that's going to benefit your life. Even if you just get slightly better at it, you'll better your life. And it's all about progress, right? It's all about always, getting better, feeling good, and creating wonderful things in your life.
Yeah, I believe so too, that the small steps are so important, and the first step is the most important because you're going in the right direction. So just, patting yourself on the back and saying, wow, I've been observing my thoughts today. How great. Instead of, whoa, I observed so many negative thoughts, and get down because you feel like, oh, I'm judging myself. I think we really need to be careful about judging ourselves, and instead just change that perspective and honor yourself for actually just doing that practice, starting the practice in the first place. Because this is very, very complicated, I believe. I don't want to disencourage people who have never listened to their thoughts or observed their thoughts, or are not realizing that they're not their thoughts. I don't want to discourage them, but it's definitely a life practice to master your mind.
It is, but honestly, that's why, when I started to discover this, then I realized, I'm like, that is the work. I talk about the 4-step process, right?
Right.
And step 1 through 3 is all about aligning ourselves. It's discipline over ourselves internally. And only after that should you start to action externally, right? Because that'll make every external action the most powerful, efficient action you can make because you're already aligned up. So I agree, right? It is, it's not easy. But as I was looking for, like, what is the most effective way to create what I want? I would say with minimal external effort, it's all of that internal effort, which it doesn't feel natural. And we are human, so we fall down and we get up. But my experience is that, like you said, you do it on the small things. You just, and you do it on things that seem easier. It really opens you up. And it really, I mean, for me, it made me excited to be, alive, thinking, wow, this is different. This is different from what I thought. Life could be really much more fun if I have this connection to my reality.
Yeah, that's very encouraging. And I think you're right. Like, not only being happy for the first step, but or just for taking the step, but also trying to perhaps manifest small things at the start if you don't truly believe in this. If
Yeah.
you find that, what are you girls talking about? I'm not sure about this. Well, try to manifest small things and see,
Hmm.
because then you get that belief that, wow, maybe this is possible. Because if you're trying to manifest this huge job, this huge dream at once, I think, yeah, that can be a longer journey in a way
Hmm.
to manifest
Yeah,
something that is
absolutely.
that is bigger. But back to the process, just to go through that. We came to the belief part.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
we stopped there. Yes.
Yeah,
So let's
because a lot of
say,
times people do stop there, right? And the process stops there because belief, we just said it that if you're trying to do something that you have no evidence that it's possible, you have no experience, um, building the belief is all of the work, And what you can find too, if you look back on things that you've manifested or you've created wonderful things in your life, you go back and say, okay, did I believe that was possible? You had the belief, right? You had the desire, you had the belief, and that's how you created it. So anyway, so you get past step two if you have the belief, and step one, and step two is the energy of gratitude. Gratitude is so powerful. It's actually quite magical, in the sense that it is energy and it's positive energy. I talk about it as being a exchange of positive energy with the universe, because when you're grateful for something, you feel really good. You feel happy. You're positive, and you also give positive energy back to whoever gave you, that thing that you have. So whether you're giving positive energy to your friend or to God or to the universe, it is a positive exchange of energy. And what that does, I found, is it accelerates the creation process. Many people talk about you receive more of what you're grateful for. And I found in my experience, even prior to even reading anything written on this, is that if those days that I wake up feeling really, really grateful, not knowing why, but seeing a beautiful day, my day magically is just beautiful. And so there's power to gratitude. And in the four-step process, I say, feel grateful for what you desire as if you already have it, right? So it is about aligning yourself up, envisioning or imagining that you already have what you desire, and you really truly feel it, as if you have it. It has to be authentic, and you feel grateful for it. That just gives it more power. So
uh,
that's step two.
how often do you need to visualize it or feel that you have it? Are we talking about one time, or do you need to do it again and again, like each day, for instance?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's one time, and it all depends. There's certain things, right, that I would say. I give an example in the book of when I went skiing. It's more of an esoteric example of how the weather shifted in my favor. But it was 20 seconds. I mean, I had the, or maybe 10 seconds. I had the desire. I wanted, a lot of snow to ski the next day. Um, it was raining and I wanted snow. And I imagined that it was a wonderful day skiing and all the family's happy. I said, thank you for it. I detached and I honestly didn't let anything bother me. I just let it all go. And then I got exactly what I wanted the next day, right? So it could be really easy. Like, even if you're starting your day, you wake up in the morning and you say you have a business meeting. Say, I really want a productive business meeting. I believe it's possible. Thank you for this thank you for how well this meeting went. And you detach, and it could be that quick. The issue always happens, right? When you're creating something much bigger that takes more time, that you start to feel like it's not yours anymore. You start to feel anxious, fearful. You're starting to doubt. And that's when you get off, you get off your alignment. So really at that point, you got to get right back aligned and then feel grateful again. So you may have to do it multiple times, but you do it only when you feel like your doubt is creeping in, right?
Right.
That's when you want to line yourself back up.
Yeah. I realize that it's not so easy to investigate these things. If we had scientists, looking into this, because you really have to try it out yourself in a way.
Yeah.
So how do we know if it's working or not? We need to figure it out ourselves. We need to try it out to see. And then really notice our own thoughts and our own emotions. And when you're doing that, you are also developing yourself. So you need to be open to self-development. I'm just thinking now how, in a sense, we can motivate more people to open up for this possibility that we are not victims, we are creators.
Right.
How could this come into school, even as a theory, that maybe this is so? Well, we would need some evidence in a way, because our society, our Western society, is based on evidence and everything we can study.
Right.
But that means that the one who is studying needs to study him or herself.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I feel like. I agree with you in terms of being able to get this message to more people so they can try it for themselves and really, discover their own power. And that's why I think this is an incredible time. And as far as being able to speak about this message, because we have so much more access to information than we did when I was a child, right? When I was a child, you go to the library or you have your school. There was no internet. God, I sound like an ancient person, right? But, now it's, you have YouTube and there's so many videos out there on this material. You can research on the internet, Amazon, right? With all access to books and downloading books and quick access to books. And with technology, the access to information is going to accelerate. And as a result, it's going to help accelerate this sort of spiritual understanding, which I find very, very exciting.
Yeah, me too. Definitely. I think more and more is happening in a sense. Things are opening up. And that means that also things are coming up. Difficulties. Yeah. But I do feel that there is this dimension with this, or this perspective, that that perhaps we cannot create anything or everything. That there's a sense of the creator being in the picture as well, like the main creator. I think we're part of the creator, but I also think there's a mystical dimension to it all. I don't know, of course. I mean, if I could control my brain 100%, my mind and my thoughts, maybe. I don't know. But it seems like sometimes that life is bringing things to you synchronistically without me having ever had the thought that I wanted that. Like, I didn't know even that I wanted that, but that came nevertheless. For instance, if you meet a man that you never thought you would, fall in love with, like you had no idea is that my type? I didn't know I wanted that. But somehow life or God or the universe knew that that was a perfect match for you. Or a career-wise, that all of a sudden something opens up that you're like, no, that's not me at all. I don't like that even. And then you try it out and wow, this was exactly what I needed. So it just seems like sometimes that things are coming to us, maybe not externally, but from this higher power. that we haven't created ourselves. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I love this, right? Because this is all part of my continued journey and understanding as well. So the way I feel at this moment in time, and maybe talk to me a year from now, I'll feel differently. I agree. I believe that there's many different levels, and that there's a higher part of me that I couldn't access for a very long time because my heart was closed, and there was a sense of not really connecting to a bigger part of myself or the universe or what have you, whatever you want to call it. And that I do believe that there is, it's not just my conscious self, this self here on this plane that is making all of sort of the decisions. I 100% believe we have the ability to create, but there's a higher part of ourselves that also wants to create, right? It has a plan of creating. I didn't know I was going to write a book, but the only reason why I did it was because I opened my heart up, listened to what my higher self was telling me, and between the two, we were able to create this book pretty quickly. And as things do happen to everybody in their lives, and in my life as well, where it is unexpected, a challenge, or something that makes you feel like you're suffering, right? The way I look at it now is there's a reason for it. And I think I've always looked at things that way. There's a reason for this, right? And if I believe that I'm going to get something really good on the other side of it, I always do get something really good on the side of it. So we're presented with things, with challenges, with people, with circumstances, always for our benefit. And there's a higher self that's guiding us, and it has to guide us in this, this dual reality. And we learn through negative situations because those are the things that help us see things a certain way and help us grow. So, it is more, like you said, more multidimensional in that standpoint. But the way I choose to look at it is that all of it is me connected to source, and source is always going to be in my favor and in my benefit. And if there are things that I need to learn and grow and experience in order to experience a greater part of this life that I'm meant to experience, then okay, I'm going to go with it. So it's perspective.
Yeah, I've come to that trust is really important for me to integrate, and I've decided to trust more and more. Like, I got this message in Oslo, not a message, but it was clear all of a sudden that I needed to get away. And the thought was, just go on a trip for a week. It wasn't like this clear thought, but it was this knowing in a way, all of a sudden. So I went down here to France and I followed it. And that's something I wouldn't have done a couple of years ago. I wouldn't have followed that gut feeling because my mind would have come in and said, well, you need to work, or you can't just go now. Why should you go? What should you do down there? Like, should you spend money on that? But now I just did it because I had the hunch. And so I've started trusting these small hunch feelings, these small intuitions, started trusting life much more. And I wanted also to mention that it's so easy to be hard on ourselves when we have not manifested what we want, and we're very aware of that we can manifest, but then it doesn't happen. And it's like, why am I not married yet, or why don't I have this child yet, or why don't I have this job yet? Am I doing something wrong? It's so easy to say, I'm doing something wrong. There's something wrong with me. And then just buy into that belief, that thought. So I think that what I've done is that when I haven't manifested what I desire, there are several things I desire that are just not in my life. I'm moving into that faith that there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason, for instance, why I'm single. Because that's not like something I really want, to be single. Being 38 years old is nice sometimes, but deep down, I know I really long for a committed relationship, a
Yeah.
beautiful relationship. But I trust that there's a reason. Like, I'm not in resistance to that anymore. And that feels so empowering. It feels,
Mm-hmm.
it's like a totally different place for me to experience myself trusting life, accepting that it's okay that it's like this. It's okay that I long for a relationship every now and then. It's okay to be sad about it. I know I want it. I know I want to, create it, but it's not here. Okay, I trust that it will come when it comes. And maybe I needed to actually learn that lesson. Maybe my lesson was to learn to trust. Maybe my lesson was to learn to empower myself, feel empowered, even though I was single. So
Yeah.
I didn't need to have a man in order to feel empowered.
Right.
So to me, that has been this great lesson, learning to trust life. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's been huge.
I absolutely agree. There's a foundational part of, say, this creation process that I talk about, and it is that getting exactly in that vibration, that alignment, and that alignment. The you put a word to it, which it is trust. It is faith, right? And it is that perspective that you're taken care of, and it may not feel good, and I'm human, and I'm not going to beat myself up because I feel sad. Well, we're supposed to feel sad. If you don't feel sad, you're not going to feel happy, right?
Right.
So there's definitely the trust element, and that plays a huge role when there are bigger things that we want to create in our lives, right? The ones that are sort of, the foundational, like whether it's relationships or career, money, whatever, those things, there is an element of trust that needs to happen. And it is trusting that the universe knows what it's doing, that your higher self, knows what's best, right?
Right. So, could you give us like a concrete example of something you have manifested and how you went about manifesting it?
Yeah. So I'll give you two examples. Okay, the first one was a big one. It was the writing of this book, because I had mentioned earlier, like, I started to get a sense I needed to synthesize all this information, so I could actually access it too, and keep me on track. Um, and I had this creative urge to write, which I never felt before, but I knew that it was something I had to do. So I had to build the belief. I didn't have the belief, and as I mentioned, I started journaling. I started writing blogs at work. I was working on my confidence, and it took me 18 months. So it took some time to really believe that I could do this, as well as it took that amount of time as well to be ready for change. So during this period of time, too, I was also wanting less and less to be in my current position, be doing what I was doing in that world. So I was also building up a stronger belief that I'm ready for change. And so when I was ready, right, I believe the universe said, okay, you're ready. And I walked into work one morning, and actually, this is really funny. It was a Sunday. I was sitting in bed thinking to myself, okay, enough is enough. I need to get out of my current situation. And granted, it was a good situation, right? I had a job, I was making money, but I no longer desired it. And I said, I want out. And I actually yelled that in my head. And 2 days later, I go into work, and I was told I was being laid off, which is I was losing my job.
Wow.
And yeah, so the company was restructuring. My position was being eliminated, as well as many other positions. The good news is that I was getting 12 months of pay. So I'm listening to all of this, a little bit in shock.
Dream situation for you. Wow.
I know. And, my immediate, heartfelt reaction was, oh my God, this is really happening. I manifested this. The universe is giving me a year to get my act together to shift my life, right? And I couldn't believe it was happening, and I was so excited. Okay, so excited. But then, after that initial, right, excitement, I go home and I'm terrified, because I felt all the negative feelings as well of what happens when you lose your job, right? I was embarrassed. I was fearful. I had so much like negative emotion attached to it as well. So I was going through sort of both of that, and that's a whole nother story too. But and after that, I knew, okay, I'm giving the opportunity to write this book, so you better get ready. You better believe you can do it. And it took about 6 weeks after getting laid off that I finally had to believe. And it was actually quite funny because I do believe that our external environment is a mirror of ourselves. And I remember my husband very confused because I never told him I wasn't going to go back to work. He's very confused and he's like, "What are you going to do? Why aren't you going back to work? What are you going to do?" And I said to him, "I'm going to write." And he looked at me and he said, "You are not a writer." And in that moment, everything shifted, right? Because I knew he was telling me what I feared. I feared that everybody was going to think I was not a writer. I was saying I was not a writer. He said it to me. I immediately reacted in myself and was like, yes, I am. He left the room. I started writing. And all the words came out, would not stop coming out until the book was done in 2 months. So that for me was just a clear example that when it lined up, like I said, I couldn't write for 6 weeks after I lost my job. But in that moment that I had to face my fears and I had to line myself up, that moment that I did it, the universe supported me and all the words came out. I'm not going to deny it too, right? There's fears that come up. Like there's fears that keep coming up. Like, you're not a writer. What are you doing? What are people going to say? Are you, what are you doing? And you got to work with that energy. You've got to know that fear is just there to stop you. Because when you really want to move in a certain direction and, you keep negative things keep coming up, those are just barriers that you need to move through in order to get to the other end.
Yeah, I think fear wants to protect you as well.
Yeah. Fear wants to protect, it depends, right? So fear wants to protect your ego.
Right.
And if there's real danger, fear absolutely wants to protect you. But
yeah.
No. That's all I was gonna say. For me, I knew that fear wasn't real. It was just gonna stop me from doing what my heart was telling me to do.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about now in the end how life mirrors what's inside? You talk a lot about that in the book.
Yeah. So that was sort of the catalyst when that first clicked for me. Like, wow, my external reality is reflecting how I feel inside. That's when I really had the energy and really wanted to write this book, because at that point I'm like, oh my God, everybody should know this. Everybody should know this.
Was it something all of a sudden you it clicked in place? So you saw it, you got it, was there a moment there?
Yeah. So there's little things along the way that we all experience, right? And I'm sure you have many experiences where you're like, wow, I manifested this, or I created this situation, both positive and negative. And this was, my last year when I was at my job. I was actually interviewing for another position, similar, a CFO of another company. And, I knew my heart really wasn't in it, and I wanted change, but I told myself, I'll be open. Maybe change meant another job in the interim. And so I went to this interview, and it was a long process. I was having to meet, oh my God, it felt like the entire company, and it went on for 4 months. And it was very interesting because certain things were popping up. Like the company meditated for a minute before every meeting, which I thought was highly unusual for the industry that I was in. In my interview process, I found out how important purpose was to the company, as well as personal purpose. So I was asked, what's my own personal purpose? And these two things were literally things that I had been contemplating. Meditation, I started, was doing that regularly. I was always thinking about, what am I supposed to be doing? What's my purpose? And this company started to reflect that back to me, which was really unusual. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe this is where I'm supposed to go, right? This might be the job. And then when I would actually look at the actual job, what I had to do, it was exactly what I had been doing my entire career. And that my heart and, inside was saying, I don't want to do this. And so this interview process was going back and forth. And every time I went there, I would either feel good or I'd really feel discouraged. And it was crazy. It was not ending. And I'm like, why does it keep showing me things I love and things that I don't want in my life? And so I had to sit and think about that. And that's when I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is showing me how I feel. I feel very confused. I'm scared to let go of my old world, which felt safe, but I want something new. And so it is showing me both things, and I need to make a decision. So in that moment, I said, okay, I'm going to be honest with myself. I don't want this job. I want something completely different. And I decided, and literally 2 days, I got a phone call telling me I didn't get the job. Like, it ended my pain, right? And so
Yeah.
for me, I saw that as I created that because I finally decided what I wanted. And I finally had clarity, so the universe gave me clarity. So for me, that process, because it was during a time that I was going through a major shift in sort of my own thinking and my own life, and to see the back and forth of old world, new world, old world, new world, it made me realize I was creating it. I was confused. I'm getting confusion, and
Hmm.
that was that.
This is so interesting, and I just, encourage everyone to just investigate this for yourself and see if you experience it is this way. Like I said, I don't know 100%. I think I have to investigate it some more, but it does resonate with me, and I have definitely had, experiences of reality mirroring what I have inside. But I think it has to do with awareness that I haven't put my focus on it always. But I'm inspired now again to start observing it a bit more again. It's like in my mind, it's to like life mirrors my inner world to a degree, but not the whole way in a way. That's too. My mind doesn't understand how that is possible, because
Yeah.
how can it mirror everyone's internal world? But I know that's just a mind thing. Like that's my
Yeah,
mind
but you
not.
know what? I have to say, and I agree. I mean, the more you go down the spiritual path and you start asking these questions, you realize, you know what? You're not going to ever know all of the
Right.
answers, and I have to accept that. But what I really encourage people is that if you can get any sense of empowerment out of just knowing a little bit more than you did before, it does enhance your life, right?
Right.
And so it is just taking a smaller step or a couple steps into something that you may have never thought of before, and seeing it, does this enhance my life or does it not? Because if it doesn't, then fine, put it away. It's not you. It's not you. It's not what you're meant to do. But if it actually does add a whole new component to your own personal sort of worth and empowerment,
Hmm.
then that's fantastic.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so well said that it's if it's empowering, then go for it. If it's not, go and do something else because then it's not for
Yeah.
you. It's so important that this path is not, or this belief or this way is not for everyone. We should always listen to ourselves. What is empowering me? Moving into that instead of the victim, definitely, which is something I've learned in the hard way. The victimhood, it's so easy to go down there. So everything that's the opposite of that, over to empowerment, that is when I think the universe is saying you're on the right track, your right track,
Right.
your path.
Right.
Yeah,
That is so important. That is so important. Right? It's everybody's own path. And
right.
that's the whole thing about your hidden light. We all have a light, but we're all here for our own reasons, our own path.
Hmm.
We're not here to emulate it as somebody else's. And it's just tuning in to yourself, to who you are, to your own desires, and realizing you can do that. You can get clear on what you want. You don't have to listen to everybody else. You really
Right.
don't.
Right. Thank you so much, Rana, and
Yeah.
thank you for writing this book, for really daring to do so, following your gut, following your inner voice, so that other people can benefit from that. Because that's my belief that when we are following our inner voice, we help other people too.
Yeah,
That's the great thing
absolutely.
about it. Yeah. So thank you so much, and continue on doing your amazing work. Don't stop. And yeah, it was wonderful connecting with you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much. And you too. Keep on doing what you're doing because you're doing really wonderful work.
Thank you so much. I will. And I have many exciting things coming now. I think I'm going to expand my work even more. So keep on just following that inner voice. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for watching, everybody. And remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't before. And I can really recommend to read Your Hidden Light. Much, much light from this time France and the US. Bye-bye.
Bye.